Hi there, and welcome to the Alberta Update. I am your host, Bruce McAllister. A look at what's happening with your government and in your government. Thank you for tuning in with us today. Coming up on the program, we're going to chat with the Premier. We have lots to chat with Premier Danielle Smith about, of course, her conversation with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau this week, Pharmacare, the safe supply bust, and much, much more. Public Safety and Emergency Services Minister Mike Ellis will be along to talk about a new bill trying to make your community safer. We'll ask him about that. Environment and Protected Areas Minister Rebecca Schultz will also be along to talk about the drought mitigation in Alberta and what her ministry is doing to prepare Albertans. All that and much more on the Alberta Update. But as usual, we will begin with the Premier, Danielle Smith. Premier, I know you've had a busy couple of days, a busy week, frankly. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Good to talk to you, Bruce.
Hey, let's chat about your conversation with the Prime Minister, first of all. I know that you were trying to find a way to be collaborative, to find areas that you can work on, and at the same time to stand up for Albertans and defend your areas of jurisdiction. How did that conversation go?
Well, look, I always try with every conversation I have to find the areas of common ground. And we do have a lot of areas of common ground, because one of the things that I observed is there's a lot of industry that is working towards a 2050 net zero or carbon neutral target. And so we've been wanting to work with the federal government to put different mechanisms in place to be able to help them achieve that target, like our carbon capture utilization and storage tax credit. Here's the frustration, though, is that we started on that journey 18 months ago, and it's now in place. We've got the legislative framework around it in this budget, and we still have yet to get the full details from the federal government. So if we're going to work on these kinds of projects together, industry needs certainty. So I was pressing him on that so that we could see if we can get to a final investment decision with the Pathways project. But look, we have been able to work on other types of programs, because we also had the Alberta Petrochemical Incentive Program. And as a result, we're seeing a lot of decarbonization of the supply chain, net zero hydrogen through air products, net zero petrochemicals and plastics through Dow Chemical, as well as net zero cement with Heidelberg. And those are the kinds of projects that we can work together on. We can work together on hydrogen. We can work together on small modular nuclear. I'd be very excited to see if we could work together with British Columbia on getting ammonia exported into the markets of Japan and South Korea. So those are the things that we started off on the common ground. Obviously, we have a few areas of disagreement, though, too.
Well, let's pick up on one of them. Look, your counterparts across the country are now speaking up en masse about the proposed gargantuan hike coming with the carbon tax. Latest couple of premiers, I think we had Andrew Furey of Newfoundland and Labrador this week. Of course, Blaine Higgs, Mr. Ford in Ontario. 7 in total now. I'm sure you would have addressed it with the Prime Minister this week. We're about to get a huge hike. It's going to impact us all. What is the Prime Minister saying? You think he'll move on it at all?
Well, I told him it would be a very easy political win for him if on April 1st, instead of increasing that another few cents, it sounds like a few cents, but it actually, when you look at the percentage of the total tax, it's a 23% tax hike, taking it over 17 cents a liter. And in addition to that, of course, continuing to increase the price of our home heating with natural gas, because that's also going up again too. And what I tried to convey to him is that the carbon tax has had its effect. People know it's there. In fact, they're suffering now, and increasing it beyond what people can afford is just leading to more and more pain. Not only are we suffering an affordability crisis, but we keep getting told by the Bank of Canada that they can't reduce their rates because inflation is still so high, and inflation is being driven up by these kinds of measures, which businesses have to put into the cost of everything that they sell. So we're in this vicious cycle of not only are people paying more for everything that they need to get themselves to and from work and their kids to and from their activities, but also on top of that, all the food and every product that they purchase is higher in price because of the tax increase. And then when they go to renew their mortgage payments are higher. He could stop that vicious cycle by just accepting that Albertans, Canadians have had enough. 7 premiers have said it. MPs across the country have said it. Even, oh my goodness, even leadership candidates for the NDP in this province have also said that it's outlived its usefulness. So when you're seeing that kind of consensus, it's not just me saying it. There's a lot of voices piling in from all political parties, and I think he should heed that. So we'll see on April 1st whether that had an impact.
Well, if I were a betting man, I'm not sure I'd bet on him doing anything about it. But anyway, thanks for advocating for us as always. Hey, I want to ask you about the National Pharmacare program, because this one is spun a different way depending on what level of government you're talking to. You chose to opt out. Explain to Albertans why that makes sense for us.
Well, we're just simply not going to create some kind of parallel program that only covers two conditions. Diabetes and birth control, when we have a comprehensive plan that covers 5,000 different types of drugs, including 50 different types of birth control, 16 different types of insulin medication, 9 different types of diabetes devices. It makes far more sense for us to identify what the real nature of the problem is. And that the real nature of the problem is that we estimate there's about 24% of the public that are not covered by some kind of pharmacare plan, whether through their work or through what we offer, because we offer a pharmacare plan for seniors, for those with disabilities, and for those on age. And so if they want to work with us to take our 5,000 drug plan and find a way to get more people on it, then happy to have that conversation. But we're not going to pretend that a 2-drug plan is in any way universal or comprehensive. And so if they want to work with us to expand our program, then we're happy to do that.
Premier of the RCMP in BC made a huge drug bust, over 10,000 pills, and that included some of the supply, the so-called safe supply from government programs. I think RCMP also said that they had proof they were making their way across the border. Your reaction to that and the potential fallout?
Well, we're very concerned about the potential of these really high-powered opioids making it into our market. We already have an opioid crisis, and I know that if it's well-meaning approach that they're taking in British Columbia, the fact that you're starting to see literally 10,000 pills, and that's only one drug bust, being diverted into the illegal market, and these are not safe drugs. When I looked at a recent BC coroner's report a few years ago, there were no young people dying of hydromorphone overdoses. Now about 1/3 of the young people who are dying of a hydromorphone overdose. And that's the drug that they are using is a so-called safe supply. We just don't think that any derivative of heroin is safe. Our approach is different. We're taking the approach of getting people into recovery, getting them onto a virtual opioid dependency program to give them alternative therapies so that they can get recovered. But we also have a law enforcement problem here, because if you've got tens of millions of dollars of free drugs getting into the hands of organized crime and gangs, and then they're marketing it across the country, then we've got to have a serious talk with British Columbia about how we're going to stop that. So I've asked my ministers to engage with their counterparts and see what we can do. One of the things we did try to do is get the federal government to put some trackers, some chemical tracers in these so-called safe supply drugs, because then that would allow us to be able to track when someone overdoses or if somebody dies. Was it caused by drugs that have been diverted? I think we need to have the answer to that question. The federal government turned us down, and we're going to see if we can get a joint effort with the British Columbia government to put those chemical tracers in there so that we have the information that we need to solve the problem.
It was an excellent request. Premier, I'll ask you one more, and I'll let you get on to the business. You're off to Houston next week. What's on the agenda?
Well, it's a Zero Week, which is one of the major energy conferences in Houston, and my energy minister went last year. But I went to COP28, and I think we have such an incredible story to tell in Alberta. I recently was in Washington as well. As you know, I'm the international and intergovernmental trade minister. We've got offices that report to me through my ministry in the United States, and we've begun the process of helping to educate Americans about just how significant Alberta is. We have the latest trade stats of how much trade goes between Alberta and the various U.S. states. And it's $182 billion just with our province and the products that we export and the products that we import from various American states. And I don't think they know that. I don't think that they know that Canada is the biggest supplier of energy products to them. I don't think that they know that we're bigger than all of the OPEC nations combined. But they should know, because in a world where we need energy security, we are here, we are their friend, we are their neighbor, we are their ally. We want to reduce the carbon footprint so that we can make sure that we've got the best barrels out there that people can feel proud to use. But we also know that we have an affordability and reliability and safety aspect that some other nations in the world don't. So I want everyone to know that if there are more ways that we can move more product to the U.S. to be able to help our biggest friend and trading partner, we're here and we're happy to do that.
You bet. Hopefully we can have you on next week and we'll find out how that went. Premier, thanks for doing this as always. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Bruce.
Alberta's government is introducing legislation that is designed to improve policing in Alberta, to make our communities safer. Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services, Mike Ellis, of course, is behind that. And Minister Ellis joins us now to talk more about it. Good day, Minister.
Good day, Bruce.
Set it up for us. I said it's designed to make our communities safer. It's designed to give more resources to our officers. Explain to us the legislation, how it will work.
Yeah, I mean, as we've seen with our Alberta sheriffs, more and more we're putting extra duties on them. They are really at this time performing roles that are police officer roles. Whether it be highway patrol, whether it be the safe communities and neighborhoods teams, fugitive apprehension teams. They work very closely with Alert as an example as well. And then, of course, we've seen the need for that visible presence that I've stated many times. We've obviously had sheriffs that have been deployed in the streets of Calgary and Edmonton. I have other municipalities throughout Alberta that have also made requests for sheriff presence. And, really, it's about ensuring that, as they're taking on these duties, as duties of police officers, I think it's time to evolve. Because it's really about civilian oversight. And so we need that civilian oversight and a civilian oversight board, which actually, quite frankly, just doesn't exist at the moment.
Okay, well, that's my next question. It's almost, it's the next area we should go. A civilian oversight board to most people might mean, wait a second here, you're going to be leaning over their shoulder, watching what they're doing, controlling their every move. That's not the intent. Explain how this works.
Well, exactly. It is not the intent. In fact, I would say it's the opposite. So in a police commission, as an example, there are politicians, municipal politicians that belong to police commissions. In the Civilian Oversight Board, there actually is going to be no political interference. And I think that's a good thing.
So I want to go back to the role of the sheriffs a little bit. Look, their role is expanding. Is this just a case, Minister, of getting all hands on deck, of doing all that we can to address the escalating crime issues in the province?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this time and time again. The federal Liberal NDP government has created an environment that has allowed organized crime, and of course we have repeat offenders that are being released into the streets. So we do need to start thinking outside of the box. Many of our police services, our RCMP, I mean, they're going call to call to call. So really, it's a bit of an evolution. We need to support and augment these police services, and it's not exclusive to the RCMP, although we do understand there's of course rural crime issues, but as I previously noted, Calgary and Edmonton, when asked upon, if they need further supports, we're there to help them as well.
You also intend to implement an ankle bracelet monitoring program for dangerous offenders, I'm assuming. Talk to us about that, how that will work.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's pretty much for anybody who's out on release. So people that are, out on bail, as an example. We talked about the broken bail system because of C-75, and really because of the, again, the NDP Liberal Alliance that has broken the bail system. This is, again, thinking outside of the box, providing a tool in the toolbox. So this is something that corrections is going to be looking after, and certainly if a prosecutor or defense or a combination thereof makes an application to the courts for an accused who may be released on bail, or again any other form of release that a judge so deems appropriate, we just want to make sure that the judiciary has the tool in the toolbox in order to help keep the community safe.
Minister, that's what it's all about for you, I know, and for this Premier and your government. Listen, appreciate the time to explain it to us, and we'll have you back on again soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much, Bruce.
Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services Mike Ellis joining us. In other news, Alberta's government is modernizing the province's electricity system through legislation that will support affordability, encourage investment, and build grid capacity. Minister of Affordability and Utilities Nathan Neudorf explains.
I'm excited to announce that Alberta's government has taken another step towards ensuring an affordable, reliable, and sustainable electricity system. Today, the Electricity Statutes Modernizing Alberta's Electricity Grid Amendment Act, also known as Bill 22, has been proclaimed. Alberta's businesses will now be able to build more energy storage than ever before. They will also be able to build more on-site power generation with the option to sell their excess electricity onto the grid. This is key to grid reliability by allowing generators to store underutilized power for later use. This electricity can then be dispatched immediately during unexpected shortages. By allowing businesses to generate their own power, not only does this reduce the demand for electricity and lower costs, it also is another reason why Alberta is a destination of choice for investment. These changes are crucial to prepare and prevent scenarios like the province-wide grid alert this past January. They also will maximize the use of Alberta's existing grid infrastructure while minimizing the need for costly upgrades, saving Alberta ratepayers their hard-earned dollars. By bringing this new framework into force, our government is continuing to modernize our electricity system, ensuring that Alberta's grid is affordable, reliable, and sustainable for generations to come.
Drought mitigation and flood protection are a huge part of the budget in 2024. Minister of Environment and Protected Areas Rebecca Schultz announcing $125 million in support of projects that would protect the critical infrastructure of municipalities in the event of future flooding and drought events. And Minister of Environment and Protected Areas Rebecca Schultz joins us now to talk more about it. Good day, Minister.
Hi, Bruce.
Hey, what kind of projects are you earmarking with the new drought and flood retention program? Let's start there.
Yeah, that's a great question. We just announced this program as part of Budget 2024. So this is going to be a multi-year program. There's $125 million, and really it's to support the gamut of community infrastructure that will help for drought and flood protection. So this is based on a program that ran previously. We've expanded it and rolled it out this year, but it's really based on a program that rural and urban communities understand. Municipalities would understand how the applications form would work. We've expanded the list of projects that would count as part of the criteria for this program, and it can be anything like drought-proof critical infrastructure. It could be drainage or water retention ponds, stabilizing riverbanks, that type of infrastructure. And I've often used the example of Pincher Creek. We've been working with the community of Pincher Creek to move their intake valves. And just with the drought that we've been seeing, they've been having some significant challenges accessing water for residents. Now we're working on the longer term solution, which is essentially to drill down into an aquifer below the water table and give them a more stable water source. I would anticipate that type of project would be something that community is going to apply for. Not making any pre-approvals here, but I would guess that is a type of project that a community would absolutely be applying for right away.
It would probably be a very accurate guess, Minister. Listen, some of this is pretty technical. We're still hoping Mother Nature delivers a lot of moisture for us. I mean, nobody wants to see a lot more winter, but it would be good for us to get some more snowpack and some more runoff. Maybe you address some of this, but I want to ask it anyway. Part of the mitigation for drought and flooding is water retention and storage. Can you speak to that and sort of what the philosophy is and what you hope to accomplish on those projects?
Yeah, part of what the Premier has asked me to look at is just maximizing Alberta's water allocations in general. And so, of course, storage is one of those things. As part of what we just announced this morning is $4.5 million to do feasibility and technical work on the Ardley Reservoir in the Red Deer River Basin. So this is really important. I was asked, look, what else are we looking at across the province? And that's really where we've earmarked $18.5 million, I believe, to do additional work to maximize our water allocation. That does mean looking at storage opportunities, drought and flood infrastructure that might be needed across the province, so that we are essentially planning for our future while we're also working to address those short-term drought realities that we're going to be facing this year.
Okay, listen, let's shift gears a little bit. The Premier met with the Prime Minister this week. I know you're aware of that. We spoke to the Premier earlier in the program about it. Many of the things that happen with the federal government impact your ministry. So I think about the electricity regulations, for instance, and what they're proposing. Where is that at, and what can you tell Albertans on that file?
Yeah, I mean, it's exceptionally frustrating to see the federal government just completely disregard the feedback that's been provided by Alberta, especially when it comes to electricity, our power generators, and also, of course, our provincial government. We, of course, had been working with them through our bilateral table, providing statistics and numbers on why what they had proposed is not going to work here in Alberta. They came out, and this was just, I think, over a month ago, or around a month ago, where they came out with their essentially what we heard paper, and they recognize that this is not doable, that industry has identified all sorts of issues with the performance standards and the parameters that are put forward, and then some of their solutions are TBD, as if, okay, well, we've heard some concerns, but we're just going to go ahead and do this anyway. So our response to the federal government, and certainly my response to Minister Guilbeault, was, look, we're providing you feedback. That does not in any way recognize that you have a role here, because they do not constitutionally. This is our area of provincial jurisdiction when it comes to power generation and ensuring that Albertans have the electricity they need when they flip on the switch. But we provided that feedback, and I can't say I'm optimistic that they're going to take it, but it's why we have been so vocal on this file. I think, the one thing that encourages me is regular everyday Albertans, they see the risk of this agenda of the Liberal and of course the NDP government in Ottawa. But Canadians see the risks of that, whether it be the electricity regulations or the carbon tax. So I'm encouraged by that. But again, this government chooses ideology over common sense and facts, quite frankly, every time.
Hey, 7 premiers now. You just mentioned the carbon tax. Premier and I spoke about this as well. 7 premiers have now come out against it, saying to the Prime Minister, look, you need to reconsider this. This is a terrible time to implement such a thing. I'll give you a chance to weigh in on that before we let you go.
Yeah, absolutely. We strongly oppose the carbon tax. And I think it was I know it was Halloween, actually, in the fall sitting, because I was not trick-or-treating. And I told my kids the importance of being here and standing up for Albertans, and why a carbon tax is hurting everyday families, businesses. Our school boards have said it's directing money to the carbon tax and away from the classroom, for example. So we oppose it. It has not reduced emissions in any way, shape, or form. It's raised the cost of everything. And of course, it's going to increase by almost $15. This is something that Canadians are going to feel. It means it'll be 17 cents a liter on gas, 21 cents a liter on diesel, 15 cents per cubic meter of natural gas. You know what? It would be in their best interest to listen to Canadians and to scrap this tax. They're not going to do that. They've essentially doubled down, rebranded it, and they think Canadians are going to like it more. I think Canadians, quite frankly, are smarter than that. And here in Alberta, it's been weird to kind of see some of the Alberta NDP say, oh yeah, no, we want to get rid of the carbon tax too. Yet every single time they have voted on this issue in the legislature here in Edmonton, where we are today, they have voted to support Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh, and really ignored the concerns of everyday Albertans. So, again, frustrating, but we're going to continue to fight, and certainly Premier is leading that charge.
I don't think that's lost on Albertans for sure. Minister, as always, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Minister of Environment and Protected Areas, Rebecca Schultz, joining us on the Alberta Update. Well, new technology is being put to use here in Alberta in the agriculture sector. Drones are being used. They're going to help evaluate wildlife damage caused to crops by animals like elk, deer, and wild boar. This will help make processing claims through the Agriculture Financial Services Corporation a lot easier and a lot smoother. Drones are also being used to help the fight against wildfires.
By embracing drone technology, AFSC will be able to gain a clear picture of how crops are being affected by wildlife damage.
Budget funding also enables Alberta Wildfire to continue using high-tech drones to support wildfire management operations. Drones deliver real-time information about fires, which helps us know where to send wildland firefighters to curb the flames.
Budget 2024 will invest an additional $151 million for wildfire preparedness, prevention, response, and mitigation. This additional funding will mean more resources such as firefighting personnel, aircraft, drones, as we just showed you, AI, and night vision technology as well to fight forest fires. The Alberta government is investing in Alberta's transportation corridors. Budget 2024 aims to invest over $8 billion to build roads, to connect communities, and support the transportation needs for industries that drive Alberta's economy forward. This work will create tens of thousands of jobs across Alberta. It will improve traffic flow and support the development of the province's major trade corridors. Devin Dreeshen, the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors, saying that while the federal government is talking about ending funding for road projects, he and other transportation ministers are advocating for additional federal dollars to support the development of improved transportation networks to support the Canadian economy.
That is the National Trade Corridor Fund, which is ending this year. And there's lots of question marks of what's going to happen in the upcoming April 16th federal budget. But obviously, actions speak louder than clarified words. So we are going to be watching that budget very closely to see if that actually will be renewed. And just recently in Montreal, at the transportation ministers of all the different provinces and territories and federal government, I actually advocated that the National Trade Corridor Fund should be renewed and also matched with the same commitment of funding that the National Transit Fund program has federally, which is $3 billion a year.
Minister Dreeshen adding that Alberta will continue to invest in improving our economic corridors to support Alberta's economy, despite the federal government's wavering commitments to supporting vital infrastructure here in the province of Alberta. As the province continues to grow, Alberta's government is investing in new schools to meet the needs and provide the learning spaces, of course, that our students so desperately need. Budget 2024 will support over 36 new priority school projects, including 28 new schools, 10 replacement schools, and 5 modernizations. When complete, these projects will create 35,000 new and modernized spaces for Alberta students to learn, grow, and meet their full potential.
We know that Alberta has seen significant growth, and it's our priority to get students into classrooms as quickly as possible. Over the next few years, tens of thousands of Alberta students will benefit from the new school projects that we intend to construct. And in fact, by the end of 2024, we expect 11 schools to be completed, ready to have kids fill those halls.
With the additional 43 projects included in this year's budget, the government is funding a total of 98 school projects in various stages across Alberta. To acknowledge the rising cost of food and services, Education Minister Demetrios Nicolaitis is announcing or has announced additional funding to support nutrition programs until the end of the school year. Programs like this will help ensure that vulnerable students have the fuel that they need to learn and to grow.
I'm very proud to announce today that the Government of Alberta will be investing an additional $5 million into school nutrition programs, bringing the total government spend to $25 million. School nutrition programs play a critical and vital role in helping students prepare for success.
Here you go. Enjoy. We know that having food helps with emotional regulation. It helps with a sense of calmness. And so when they're not their best selves in learning, the first thing we always ask them, have you had something to eat? Are you hungry? And having that nutrition, those snacks and those fruits and those vegetables within the classroom easily accessible makes it a lot easier for the student to help themselves, calm themselves, and connect to their spirit again.
Say please.
Please. The nutrition program is important because it does set up the children for success. They can learn, they can be better humans, and they can, strive and be successful and focus on just being a kid. With one of our partners, Brown Bagging for Calgary Kids, they provide on Mondays a kind of a brown bag lunch. We do have Meals on Wheels that donate soups on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we also then supplement with like sandwiches or quesadillas or something warm to go with that, as well as fruits and vegetables, always offered at every meal. Wednesdays are fun. We do hot meals. We're always trying to introduce more foods, healthy options. We keep things very low sugar, low sodium, keeping things just, fresh.
As we went through and toured this morning, you would have noticed that students sat in circle at tables and they interacted with each other and developing friendships over a meal. And having the funding provided through the government and through our partners, our nutrition partners, is really important and valuable so that we can provide that for our students as well.
The Government of Alberta firmly believes that all students should have the nutrition that they need to achieve academic success, and I'm confident that this new funding will help ensure all students are able to realize their full potential.
Alberta's government is knocking down barriers when it comes to sports and recreational activities so that every child has the chance to participate in sports. Minister of Tourism and Sport Joseph Scow announcing $8 million for the Every Kid Can Play program, helping families across the province by making kids' sports and recreational activities more accessible and more affordable. The minister emphasizing that sports teach kids healthy habits and the importance of teamwork, of leadership, and of commitment, helping to set them up for success in all aspects of life.
The next generation of Albertans will shape the future of our province, and we're focusing on nurturing them and providing them with the opportunities to live healthy, active lives. It brings me great pride and pleasure to know that thousands of kids and youth will continue to be able to make sport, physical activity, and recreation a regular part of their lives because of this program.
And that does it for the Alberta Update this week. A look at what's happening with your government and what's happening in your province. A chance to talk to the Premier and ministers and get a firsthand review of what's happening. And remember, you can subscribe to the Alberta Update. You can do so by going to YouTube and be fair. There are two ways to do it. Obviously, the government site and the @AB Danielle Smith site. And with the legislature back in session, we will be doing the update every week. So that's it for this week, but we will see you again next Thursday, again live on YouTube at 7 p.m. on Thursday. Thank you for sharing some time with us, and we'll see you again soon.